You know I could do the same thing without wasting 8 hours of people's time.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth it is scalding.
Yes, I know what you're probably gonna be saying. What the hell, man? I thought this asshole was dead. And all I have to say is,
I have died before.
so, if you haven't read the title of this video, I'm gonna be covering a Fallout video. A video on why Fallout 3 is better than New Vegas. Ooh, spicy. And yeah, before I begin, this isn't gonna be the most in-depth response video in the fucking world. The video I'm responding to in and of itself is not even worth responding to for most people anyways. But I was like, you know, I haven't made anything in fucking years. Might as well start on the lowest hanging fruit imaginable. So, let's get into this pile of garbage, shall we?
Okay, I plan on talking about 3 main points for this video, which are story, freedom, and atmosphere. Now, the first thing we're going to be talking about is the story. Now, one thing that Fallout 3 does better than New Vegas is having a more compelling main storyline. Now, when you first start out during the Vault intro, you get to go through multiple time skips in the player's life in the Vault, from your 10th birthday to taking the GOAT exam. But one day, you soon discover that your father left the Vault and the Overseer guards are after you, which gives new players a reason to get them engaged in the story to go find their father.
Yes, I will summarize the plot. Therefore compelling. No need to elaborate on how exactly it's compelling. It just is, because you say so. The most argument of all time. You see, the reason I find Fallout 3 not very compelling is because I'm forced into a shallow, drawn-out Vault experience, in which the game tells me my backstory and that I should care about my father's character for some reason, even though there's hardly any time to build said relationship in the Vault. New Vegas, on the other hand, does not waste any time getting you up to speed. You were a courier on their way to deliver a package when you were suddenly ambushed by a man in a checkered suit and some hired thugs. The man in the suit takes your package and shoots you in the head. When you wake up, all you gotta do is pick your stats and then you're off, to get revenge or to find out why that man took your package. It gives you multiple motivations to start out with if you're interested. If not, you can ignore it, because unlike Fallout 3, you're given the freedom to choose for yourself. Because your backstory is whatever you want it to be, you're not forced into a narrow path dictated by the game because of your backstory, because it respects the player to make their own choices, and that is why I find New Vegas far more compelling than 3.
And the rest of the main quest line is full with memorable moments that stick with the player long after the game is over. A couple examples of this would be the sacrifice of your father in Project Purity, and the final outcome you can make for the betterment of the DC wasteland.
Stop trying to oversell Fallout 3's binary ending, you clown.
The main story helped drive the narrative forward and gave players a sense of purpose in their exploration of the wasteland.
Please explain why. Come on, man, do something. Stop making fucking worthless statements and actually come up with an actual argument.
New Vegas, on the other hand, had a more political storyline that revolved around factions vying for control of the Mojave. While this approach offered a more complex and nuanced narrative, it does not resonate with players in the same way that Fallout 3's more main storyline did.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like, your opinion, man.
In contrast, Fallout New Vegas' main questline can be quite disjointed and lacking in emotional impact for players, and one of the strongest examples for this has to be Benny. During the intro of New Vegas, you get ambushed by Benny and end up almost getting killed by him. But when you meet him later in the storyline to exact your revenge, he becomes the opposite of what he was in the intro, to talking a big game in the intro from trying to weasel out of his bad situation at the Tops Casino.
Okay.
From where you're kneeling must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
As H-Bomb noted, Colonel Autumn stands for nothing, and he turns on a dime. This is especially bad.
This is pure fucking brain rot. Benny and Colonel Autumn are not even remotely comparable. You see, Benny is a snaky, smooth-talking businessman who will do anything to get his way to seize control over New Vegas using his yes-man robots.
What in the goddamn? Let's keep this in the groove, hey? Smooth moves, smooth. Hello? The guy everyone saw go in the Lucky 38, that was you? Oh, shit. I hit what I was aiming for. Guess you had brains to spare. Or you just thick-skulled. Either way, baby, this is good news. Maybe I can finally sleep at night, knowing you didn't die. What say you and me cash out? Go somewheres more private-like. Any questions you got, I'll answer. If that's what it takes to win your trust, that's what it takes. Follow me. House was on to me from word go? I thought I was being so clever. Once you were vertical, how'd you track me down? To think I deemed that flint box my lucky charm. Oh, the irony. I guess that's enough scratching around at first base. Tell me, which way is the wind gonna blow? Broad strokes? Change in management. The Securitrons are where it's at. I need a way to control them, and a way to beef up their hitting power. I get those two ducks in a row, Vegas can defend itself versus all comers. NCR, Caesar's Legion, it won't matter. Baby, the odds may look long, but that's just because we ain't done rigging them. I won't toss the dice until we are. I've gleaned a lot working with Mr. House. He was a good cat to swing with. I still got a lot to learn, but it's coming together. Baby, do you not understand the level of game here? What I did to you was rotten. But if you think House, the NCR, or Caesar won't kill to put Vegas in their pocket, I really did blow out your brains. There was a time I would have agreed with you, but this, it's too big. It affects too many people. I can't get hung up on those details.
That in and of itself is far more characterization than we ever got from Colonel Autumn. A man so shallow, you can sum him up as an evil military guy whose only differentiating trait is that he doesn't want to poison the water purifier.
You again. I can't say I'm surprised. You and your ilk seem hell-bent on destroying everything our government has worked to achieve. There's nothing to stop me from killing you this time. Let's end this. I beg to differ. The Enclave is at the height of its power. Once this facility is operational, the masses will flock to the Enclave for fresh water, protection, and a plan for the future. I am sworn to protect the presidency. The chain of command must be upheld. I wouldn't expect you to understand. You could have stolen the vial. It means nothing. It proves nothing. I am in charge here. I am the Enclave. Stop. Now? Are you out of your mind? There's nothing else to be done. We will push forward and we will prevail. And you would just let me leave? How can I be sure you won't just shoot me once I turn my back on you? I suppose it doesn't matter much now. Very well. I shall leave you to your fate.
He indeed stands for nothing. Some might also say that Benny's motivations are also shallow, sure, but we're comparing him to Colonel Autumn. That's the comparison.
The intro of the game does an effective job of making Benny the primary villain of the game, and even mid-game, he's made out to be a big deal. But when you finally encounter him in the casino, he becomes one of the most biggest joke of an antagonist in the entire Fallout series.
How to misread a character 101.
Well, he might have been wearing a fancy outfit, but he wasn't any kind of gentleman to me. Had his nose stuck so high in the air you couldn't see it above the clouds. City folk. They always think they deserve better than what they got. Those hoodlums he was with seemed to know Manny for some reason. He's our daytime sniper, up in the dinosaur's mouth.
Sure I know him. What do you want with him? Doesn't surprise me. Guy seemed like he'd do whatever it takes to get what he wants. Probably makes a lot of enemies. The guy you're looking for, Benny, he was traveling with some members from my old gang. They were going to Boulder City. No clue. I know Benny hadn't paid up yet. Maybe that was where they were supposed to get square.
What the hell? You're that courier Benny wasted back in Good Springs. You're supposed to be dead. Yeah, about that. Don't have it. Benny stole it right before he stabbed us in the back. He's probably back at the strip by now, laughing at me.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
But other than that, he can be killed surprisingly easy for what the game made him out to be. Even the lesser important characters have legions of minions to send unto you before encountering the boss themselves, but Benny, who's no doubt one of the most important characters of the game, only has 4 bodyguards who can be dealt with very easily. If you plan to kill someone like Caesar, you have to deal with the whole fort, which is why killing Benny should have been more climatic.
Wrong!
And you're leaving out important context like usual. First off, he's the head chairman of the Tops Casino, not a military leader in open conflict. You're also forgetting that Benny thinks that you're dead. There's no need for extra security for someone who thinks they got away scot-free. As far as he's concerned, nobody's hunting him down. Another thing is that Benny is a side antagonist, not a villain, and his relevance to the story heavily relies on your playthrough. For instance, if you're going to be playing as a pure Legion playthrough, you're only going to find him at Caesar's camp, and if you're playing a pure NCR character, you're not even going to meet Benny, period.
But once you kill Benny, your motivation to continue the story stops there. You don't have much of a reason to help the other factions in the Mojave other than Mr. House due to him sending Victor to save you after getting shot by Benny.
Oh man, that sounds like a you problem.
It would have worked better if there were more ways to keep the player invested in the story, even after defeating Benny.
And are you gonna qualify that statement? Probably not. After killing Benny, a representative from each faction is gonna introduce themselves to you. And are you gonna tell me that you have no interest in hearing them out?
The game does gives you lots of freedom in the choices you can make in the main quest line. But what's the point in doing so if there is no player motivation?
You see, this is what happens when you play a real RPG game for once, not some heavily railroaded Fallout theme park in which the game tells you who you can and can't side with. You actually have to roleplay for once, you know, choosing a faction based on their benefits or beliefs. Like I said earlier in this video, this game puts the choice in your hands. And if you're just not motivated to play the game after killing Benny,
Oh man, that sounds like a you problem.
One of the other things we will be talking about is freedom. And Fallout 3 is a good example of this. When you first leave the vault, you can go anywhere you want in the map, and there is nothing stopping you from doing so. The map is completely open to the player.
Oh my god! Wow! Oh my god!
But for Fallout New Vegas, you're basically forced down a path for the first part of the game. If you want to go to New Vegas, your only real option is to go around the way the main quest points you to.
absolutely not. You are certainly discouraged from going north, yes, but being discouraged from going so doesn't mean you lack the option of going in that direction.
And most new players will end up getting discouraged from going up north to Vegas due to the death claws and cazadors that surround northern Goodsprings, which is something that harms the game in terms of freedom.
And being a new player is irrelevant when discussing a freedom of movement, and that also comes across as a bit of a skill issue on your part.
You may be giving lots of choices in story, but gameplay-wise you really can't do much.
Oh, I didn't know that being discouraged from going in certain directions equates to a complete lack of gameplay choices. God damn, this man's a fucking smooth brain.
Now for my last bit of the video will be about something that gives Fallout its trademark, which is atmosphere. I personally feel that Fallout 3 was the closest thing to what the original Fallout game had captured, with its dread, destruction, and fear.
Yeah, well, that's just like, your opinion, man.
The DC wasteland was far more immersive than the Mojave.
That's a nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
And how are you gonna qualify that statement? Jeez, am I sounding like a fucking broken record?
And this is something I really can't blame New Vegas for, since the developers were trying to do something different than what the original Fallout games did.
And the DLC at least make up for this with it having similar themes with Fallout 1 and 2. And some good examples of DLC would be Lonesome Road and Honest Hearts.
Okay. The Power of the Atom quest is another example of Todd's over-the-top, violence is funny, itchy and scratchy design approach.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Yep. Of course you weren't. Oh boy. You're doing this, aren't you? So let me get this straight. You're comparing the Power of the Autumn quest in Fallout 3, in which you can blow up a town made by a bunch of retards because they decided to build it around a fucking nuke, versus Archimedes 2, a pre-war superweapon. I fail to see the comparison.
Yes, and the game itself is non-canon. Well, many people seem to point at the chalkboard in Vault 4, where it says in the show that the NCR fell 4 years before the events of New Vegas. Now, the head writer of Bethesda, Emile Pagliarulo, has stated that New Vegas was still canon. Now, after hearing this from the head writer of Bethesda, you would think this would fix the problem, right?
Shut up, bitch! Walk in the band world,